Welcome into Outkick the Show. I am your fearless host, Clay Travis, a.k.a. the hardest working man in the sports media industry. Today is the day we debut Lock It In, a new show I'm a part of on FS1. I am telling all of you right now that it is going to be, hopefully, not awful. Very low barrier, very low bar. I'm hopefully of the opinion that it is not awful. It will be on at 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central, 2:30 Mountain, and 1:30 Pacific. My DVR is set. I will be appearing live from good old Nashville, Tennessee, and I will talk about the show a little bit more in a little while here on the show. Appreciate all of you coming to join me. Like I said, my name is Clay Travis. This is Outkick the Show. We are presented by sportsbookreview.com. If you haven't been going to sportsbookreview.com, you need to. Find out the best places to place your bets, the best numbers. But not a good weekend. We respect the picks, but it was not a good weekend. And I am excited to be off and running with week 3. Also, my guy Ryan Kelly, the home loan expert wherever you may be across the country. They can take care of you. They can wipe all your credit card debt out and put you in a position to be in the best possible shape. Wipe out all of your credit card debt in one fell swoop. You'll be glad to do it. I will be glad to do it. Let's get rolling with all of our big takeaways. First of all, I got to say off the jump here. It was the worst season opener the Titans have ever had, all right? And the only thing the Titans did well was decide to go after a 5-year-old tweet from me. Now, you know you have made it in the world of sports media when your own team that you grew up rooting for as a young man now decides to take shots at you because your audience has become so massive. I don't know who at the Titans is going through 5-year-old tweets. 5 years ago, if you haven't seen it, the Titans said, "Good thing you're not the GM." 5 years ago, I tweeted, if I were Titans GM, I would hire Kevin Sumlin and I would draft Johnny Manziel and I would roll with that duo. 5 years ago, that wasn't a bad idea. 5 years ago, I didn't have a television show. I didn't have a national radio show. I was doing local radio. I wasn't filthy rich. 5 years ago was a long time ago. And so the Titans got dudes looking back over my old tweets and retweeting and taking shots at me. I got to be fair. This was the best play that was made by anybody in the Tennessee Titan organization, going back over my old tweets. But 5 years ago, it wasn't crazy to say you thought Kevin Sumlin might be a good NFL head coach. And 5 years ago, it wasn't crazy to believe that Johnny Manziel might be a good NFL quarterback. All right? I don't know why it's that crazy of an opinion. I didn't say it yesterday. I said it 5 years ago. In November of 2013, Kevin Sumlin was in the middle of being on a 19-4 run. Guys, I believe if there had been a college football playoff in 2012 and Texas A&M had gotten into it, I think there's a good chance Texas A&M would have won the overall championship. I really do. I think they were that good at the end of the season. If you watch the way, they weren't just beating people, they were absolutely destroying people in that year with Texas A&M. I think by the end of the season, you saw what they did to Oklahoma in the Cotton Bowl. That team, that college football year, I think Texas A&M by the end of the year was the best team ever that we put together. Now, at A&M. Now, I got to say, Kevin Sumlin right now, 0-2. Chip Kelly, 0-2. Herm Edwards, 2-0. Let's start with college football. I got to tell you, I don't know why it's crazy in 2012, 2013 to have been bullish on Kevin Sumlin and Johnny Manziel. Big takeaways from college football. Then I'm going to get to my big takeaways in the NFL, and then I will react to whatever opinions you guys want me to react to on top of it. There are now 4 really impressive teams that we have seen through 2 weeks, okay? Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, and Oklahoma, I would say, have created space between themselves and everybody else, okay? There are 4 guys, I think, out there, 4 teams in college football: Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, and Oklahoma, probably the 4 best teams so far. If you were doing a college football right now and you said, we have to seed the playoff, I would go 1 Bama, 2 Georgia, 3 Ohio State, and 4 Oklahoma. I'm curious to see what Alabama does this weekend against Ole Miss. Remember, last year they won 66-3. I think Alabama, if they left Tua in, will score 70 points against Ole Miss. Now, they may give up 35, but I think they'll score 70. Kentucky, I want to give props. People say, oh, you don't talk enough positivity. You're too negative. I want to give uniform props here, beyond a shadow of a doubt, to the Kentucky Wildcats right now. Kentucky beat Florida for the first time since 1986. They won a road game in Gainesville for the first time since 1979. I was watching this game. I have a lot of buddies who are Kentucky football fans. Yes, they exist. And I got to tell you, I felt good for them. I hope you guys were watching and you enjoyed it too. Having said that, Florida's awful. Felipe Franks, not a good quarterback. The amount of overall talent, where did Jordan Scarlett go? How is Dan Mullen not able to correctly utilize him? I'd be a little bit nervous if I were a Gator fan right now. I actually think Tennessee's going to beat Florida in 2 weeks in Knoxville. Now, it doesn't necessarily tell you anything, because I predicted Tennessee's going to beat Florida every September for like the last 15 years. But I've convinced myself that in 2 weeks, the Gators don't really have a very good quarterback. I think it's going to be a low-scoring, ugly, Will Muschamp-style game. And I don't think that Mullen has the talent to be able to run the offense that he wants to right now at Florida. I think that Jeremy Pruitt's going to be able to put together a scheme. I don't think that Felipe Franks can pick apart this young Tennessee secondary like Will Grier did, who I'm a pretty big fan of, Will Grier. I think Will Grier is really good. I'm telling you right now, Tennessee's going to win that game. They're going to be 3-1 when they go into the deadly part of their season, which is going to get brutal. I mentioned it earlier. Sometimes the common wisdom is wrong. In fact, very often it is. It's happened in the Pac-12 South already. Everyone, yourself included, myself included, ridiculed Herm Edwards' hire at Arizona State. And the fact that he was going to implement some kind of weird-ass situation with his team where they were going to sit around and they were going to have like a pro-style situation. You know what they did? They went out and they beat Mark D'Antonio and the Michigan State Spartans in the second week of the season. Kevin Sumlin has started off 0-2 at Arizona. Everybody was in love with him. I have no idea what's happened to Khalil Tate. And also, on top of that, you have a situation where Chip Kelly and UCLA is just not a good fit. So I don't think there's any doubt at all. Chip Kelly, Kevin Sumlin will eventually get things going better, but right now they're 0-4, and Herm Edwards is 2-0. All right, let's talk about the game Saturday night. I got to tell you, I was talking about 2012 Aggies. I was talking about 2013 Aggies. You guys know that I've been tough on Jimbo Fisher over his protection of Jameis Winston and all the mess that went on down in Tallahassee. But what I have never criticized is Jimbo Fisher's ability to get a quarterback playing at the absolute apex of his game. Christian Ponder, E.J. Manuel, both total bust. Jameis Winston, we'll get to him in a minute, may not get his job back as Fitzmagic takes over in Tampa Bay. I'm here to tell you right now, Kellen Mond looked like a different player Saturday night against Clemson. I think that game was more about A&M exceeding expectations than it was Clemson failing to live up to them. I thought Kellen Mond, particularly in the second half, was a revelation. This is a guy who completed 51% of his passes under Kevin Sumlin's offense last year, and he was unstoppable virtually by that Clemson defense in week 2. Now, I believe, you guys can tell me I'm crazy, the Tennessee Titans can clip this and they can share it in 5 years. I believe that Jimbo Fisher is going to take the Texas A&M Aggies at some point under this current contract into the college football playoff. That is my belief based on what I have seen so far. I think he's going to recruit like gangbusters. If I had to bet right now on whether I like Tom Herman or whether I like Jimbo Fisher to be successful in the state of Texas, I like Jimbo Fisher more than I do Tom Herman. Not to say Tom Herman can't win too. Big game for Tom Herman this weekend to get against USC. But I like Jimbo Fisher more, which ties in with my larger issue here. We got to change the rule. Okay? I don't think that rule ended up changing the outcome of the game, but we have to change the rule on fumbles into the end zone and the other team gets it coming back at the 20-yard line. Before I explain why, let me tell you this. Would you believe that it made sense if you were at the 50-yard line and a team fumbled the ball out of bounds if the other team got the ball at the 50-yard line? You would think that was ludicrous. You'd be like, well, they didn't recover it. Why should we give the ball to them at the 50? The ball went out of bounds. The team that fumbled it should get it where they fumbled it out of bounds. Why should the rules suddenly change completely when you get down close to scoring a touchdown? After you've done all the hard work of driving the length of the field, why should you reward the defense for a fumble not the same way that you treat a fumble that happens at midfield or the 15 or the 30 or the 40 or the whatever yard line it is? To me, this is a simple rule. You get the ball if it goes out of bounds at the closest place that you had possession of it prior. If you want to then institute a 5-yard penalty, let's say, if you fumble it out the back of the end zone, you lose 5 yards from the spot where you fumbled it or from the goal line or something like that, I wouldn't even necessarily disagree. But I think in general, this idea that the other team should get the ball and they should get a touchback is probably the most broken rule in college football. I think the most broken rule in the NFL is the landing on a quarterback with their body weight. I don't know why that doesn't happen. It's totally logical. I think it's fair to both parties. I don't understand who the people are that think it makes sense to have it end that way. So that would be my solution. That's all college football. Any college football questions quickly from you guys? Best team in the state of Florida right now is Central Florida. Best team in the state of Florida. Florida State is awful. They got that ridiculous backpack that they're wearing, the turnover backpack. I think Miami's going to be okay. I don't think Florida's very good. I don't think Florida State's very good. Through 2 weeks, the best team in the state of Florida is Central Florida. Ole Miss defense, I have zero faith in. I want to see what the over is going to be in Alabama-Ole Miss, and I'm going to hammer it. I can't possibly avoid hammering it. Loved what I saw from Mississippi State. Nick Fitzpatrick was not even very accurate, and they still blew out Kansas State on the road. I think Mississippi State's really good. Top 10 caliber team. I love Joe Moorhead. Yeah, I think Vandy will keep it close on the road against Notre Dame. Chad Morris, no way that you can actually have that happen. Do I dye my hair? No. All natural, baby. I don't take any supplements. I don't take any drugs. If I get sick, I don't even take Tylenol. That's the truth. Don't take drugs. Don't do drugs, kids. They'll harm you, except for alcohol. I like that. LSU Auburn, I'm nervous about the line around 10. I think it's too high of a line around 10, but I also feel like Auburn might come out and boat race them, so I haven't touched that one yet. Push-ups, I can do a ton of. Pull-ups, I actually did them today. I actually did pull-ups today in the workout as part of my Being a Beast mode workout. I can knock out about 8 good pull-ups in a row, 8 to 10, which is pretty good. I'm 6 foot 180-ish. I feel pretty good about being 39 years old and being able to knock out 8 to 10 pull-ups. Full extension, not like the rabbit things. Full extension, drop down, pull all the way back up, about 10 of those. Texas USC, I don't have an early read on that game. Big one. No, Heisman is Tua, talking about lowest to lose, although Haskins at Ohio State's also going to be a run. I think it'll be between those two. I can do both ways. I can do one hand one way, one hand the other way. I can do pull-ups. I can do chin-ups. Let's be honest. For a 39-year-old father of 3 with an internet website, a radio show, and a television show, I might be the most physically dominant man alive. Drew Lock, I love Missouri on the road against Purdue. I think they're going to blow Purdue out. Purdue has not been very good. I'm not a big squat guy. Not a big squat guy. I don't have a lot of power in the squat. I've got a good bench press strength, although I haven't been benching as much because I'm like, when am I going to need to push something off my chest at this point? I posted a video a while back doing like multiple reps on 225. I can still get 225-ish, a couple times probably, but that's my days of going for max reps and max weights are over. All right, yeah, CrossFit guy. I'm all about functional strength. I'm all about functional dad strength. Also, I can carry 2 kids, one on my shoulder who's like 50 pounds, and the other in my arm around 30 pounds, 7-year-old and a 3-year-old down to the beach while also carrying all the beach chairs and all the other beach implements. That's the kind of strength you need to have when you're a dad. People are like, oh, what do you bench? What's your 40 time? Here's what you need to have when you become a dad. The ability to carry all the chairs to the beach while you also carry 2 kids. All right? That is like freak dad level. All right? When I see other dads, I'm like, does that look like the kind of guy who could carry all the chairs down to the beach, Also, maybe a cooler, get a kid on the shoulders, got a kid under the arm like a football. Can you pull that off? That's where you get dad strength. And that's the kind of strength that I have these days. Everybody else is out there working on their fake muscles. They're standing in front of the mirror. They're repping out curls. You assholes couldn't carry 2 kids to the beach. You couldn't carry all the chairs. You'd fall out. I'm telling you right now, that is what you have to do, all right? When you get down to the beach, I worry about dad functional strength. The other thing is, you get to be my age, there's no reason to risk the back. I don't know who all these people are that are like, oh, I'm going to do deadlifts. If I ever am in a situation where I need to pull a car off a human, I'm screwed anyway, all right? I got to tell you, if I ever need to deadlift something, I haven't had to deadlift anything in 39 years. It's like Algebra 2. I've never deadlifted, and I've never used Algebra 2 in my life, or geometry. Not to say some people might not. You know what? If you're a fireman and you got to go save people who are, in buildings that are burning to death, you got a different kind of deadlift requirement than I do. I've never had to do Algebra 2 or geometry or deadlift. I took pre-cal, and I don't even know what it is. I took pre-cal, and I don't even know what that thing is. I never got to calculus. That's all math that was just unnecessary to me. It was never a point in time. People say, oh, you'll use this for the rest of your life. There's never been a point in time where I have used advanced math or felt like I was really left behind because I wasn't great in math. Now, deadlift guy might be out there and he might be like, bro, you're totally wrong about this. You never know when a car's front 2 tires are going to collapse and you're going to be out there on the road and you're going to have to lift the front of the car while your other bro rolls underneath the hood and puts on the tire jack and everything else. Maybe that's true. Maybe deadlift guy, always the front tires falling off. He's just lifting up the front end of the car to make sure his other buddy can go put the tire on. You know what that happens when I do that? If I got 2 flat tires, I call AAA. I don't want to brag here, but I also just call Land Rover. And I just say, hey, the Range Rover has got a flat tire. I need you to show up and fix it. All right? Not the kind of guy to brag, but I'm past tire changing. All right? I'm past deadlifting. If you got to do that stuff, I'm out. So that is the truth. All right. NFL talk. We got a lot to get to. I got to be honest. That's the most depressed I have ever seen myself feel after an opening game. First of all, it went on for like 48 hours. All right, the Titans-Dolphins game lasted for 48 hours. It went way too long, and I just got to say it. People aren't getting struck by lightning. I think we're creating more danger by making people evacuate stadiums than we are by protecting them from lightning. If it lightens like 7 miles away from the stadium, I don't understand why we're in this era. Back in the day, lightning used to strike everywhere. I remember sitting in a game in Knoxville, Tennessee, Florida in like 1992. I'm pretty sure 150 people got struck and killed by lightning in Knoxville that day. It's like the wildest day of lightning ever. It rained so much that you stood on the sideline. The players were like knee-deep in water. It was Mose Phillips. Anybody remember Mose Phillips? Shane Matthews was supposed to win the Heisman Trophy that year. I think it was like 1992. Heath Shuler, bitches. Heath Shuler in the old 21 jersey just running all over the place. Dude had an IQ of 21, but nobody could tackle him. He was just dropping back to pass. He was running everywhere. That was the days. That was when the Vols were Vols. Lightning flashes going off everywhere. They didn't stop the game for one moment. Everybody's drenched. I'm telling you right now, the 90s were when men were still men. All right? The 2000s, we started to go downhill. The 2010s, it's like if you have Mel Genitalia, you might as well cut it off, and that makes you a hero. I don't know what's going on in the world, but it used to be when men were still men. Titans were awful. I don't know what's going on with Mariota, but I'm convinced that it's going to be like some elbow, like ulnar issue. You know, all these ligaments that I don't really know what they are, or he's going to have Tommy John surgery. That was one of the worst performances I've ever seen. One of the worst performances I have seen. Mike Vrabel, the new head coach, had no idea what he was doing. He was on the sideline, didn't know when to challenge, didn't know what was going on. And Delaney Walker gets just absolutely destroyed on some stupid pass that Blaine Gabbert's in throwing. Blaine Gabbert is maybe the least aware quarterback in the history of the NFL. It's 4th and 7, and he throws the ball 2 yards to Dion Lewis. I don't even understand how your brain could make that poor of a decision. He also he's awful. I can't stand watching him. If Mariota's actually hurt and Blaine Gabbert is the quarterback for the rest of the year, I'm just saving the 45 hours of Titans going 2-13 and not even watching those games. I'm telling you right now. Other big takeaways. Fitzmagic is for real down in Tampa Bay. Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to Wally Pip Jameis Winston. Except I hope he doesn't have Lou Gehrig's disease and he's actually not that good. But he was flawless against the Saints. Jameis Winston may never start another game. Fitzmagic has come to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was extraordinary to watch. The 4 worst performing teams, the Cowboys, the Bills, the Titans, and the Cardinals, were all atrocious. They were all so bad it was hard to sit around and watch them. I feel bad for all of you if you're a Cowboys, a Bills, a Titans, or a Cardinals fan. The Packers. How about Aaron Rodgers? The dude goes off on a cart, and then he comes back. I've never seen a guy go off on a cart and then come back and lead his team back from a 20-0 deficit. You want to talk about the difference between the best quarterback in the NFL and one of the best defensive players. It is this. Khalil Mack and other great defensive players make their living on mediocre and bad quarterbacks. Khalil Mack's defense had a 20-point lead. They were spotted. And they couldn't keep Aaron Rodgers from coming back, despite the fact that Khalil Mack is making $23 million a year. Good defensive players don't matter when you have a great offensive player. The offensive player dunks all the time, right? The offensive player dunks all the time on the defensive player. Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill, if you are a Kansas City Chiefs fan, it's early, could be one of the best young wide receiver and quarterback tandems we have seen in this league in a long time. Super hyped quarterbacks went out and fell flat on their face. Jimmy G is dating a porn star. Everybody's like, oh, Jimmy G's going to be incredible. Got his ass kicked by the Minnesota Vikings. Deshaun Watson. Everybody. Jalen Ramsey's like, he's going to be MVP of the league one day. He goes out and he gets dominated by 41-year-old Tom Brady, who's out there throwing to a bunch of intramural wide receivers, and Rob Gronkowski's got 4 dudes on him, and they still can't stop him. The Browns get a tie after Le'Veon Bell puts out an emoji tweet, which I don't even understand. The Mr. Peanut emoji, I don't even know what's going on there. I feel like such an old man when I see emojis go up, and I have to say, I got to talk about this emoji. I got to make sense of this emoji. What does this emoji mean? Do you remember the Eli Manning skit where he was doing the testimony? He had to explain all the emoji faces and what they meant on the witness stand. I got no idea what the Mr. Peanut emoji means. I will tell you this. Ben Roethlisberger was awful, threw a lot of interceptions. The Steelers were atrocious. I'm not a big believer in the Steelers. They got a really tough next 4 or 5 games. I'm not sure they have much to come from there. Saquon Barkley was good from 68 yards. He's going to be a stud for the Giants this year. And Andrew Luck looked like vintage Andrew Luck. I loved everything that he brought to bear. All right, that is the NFL. What NFL questions do you have for me? Again, reminder, my new television show alongside Rachel Bonetta, Cousin Sal, and Todd Furman debuts at 4:30 Eastern, almost exactly 1 hour from now. I cannot wait for you guys to tell me that you think I'm awful and that I shouldn't be on television. I really can't wait to get on Twitter and open up my Twitter mentions at the end of the show and see everybody saying, you are awful, you should never be on television again. Dak was bad. Dak has just regressed to the mean. Think about this for Dak Prescott with the Cowboys. When he took over for Tony Romo, Romo never had Ezekiel Elliott. He had Jason Witten, and he had Dez Bryant. He had that offensive line. There was a good foundation there. Now he's got nobody to throw to, and if you don't have anybody to throw to, you better be Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers good in order to still be great. And he's not. He's just an okay quarterback. Betting on tonight's games. Watch Lock It In. That's what you call a tease, boys and girls. Watch Lock It In. Yes, I am betting on tonight's games. I'll be giving you my picks there. Browns will win 4 or 5 games. All right, that's what I think is pretty good. Oh, also, the Redskins. How about Adrian Peterson, fountain of youth performance? Nobody owned September better than Alex Smith. Reggie Jackson was Mr. October. Alex Smith is Mr. September. Nobody starts an NFL season better than Alex Smith. The dude is almost unstoppable when he starts a season in September, and then he just slowly gets worse for the rest of the season, and then he loses in the first round of the playoffs every year. That's Alex Smith. You can just set a clock by it. Nobody more reliable than, I'm telling you right now, than my guy, Alex Smith, Mr. September. By the time it gets to be January, he's going to lose to Marcus Mariota or somebody else. I got to tell you, if Mariota's hurt, I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. I'm still a Mariota guy. I understand. There's haters coming for me all the time on these social media streets. They're stepping to me. Even the Titans' own team is coming for me, and I'm like the most popular Titans media fan by far. There's not even a number 2. Who's the second most famous Titans fan in the sports media? The Titans don't even have a second most famous person. I'm infamous at best, and there's not even a close number 2 to me. It's like Aaron Rodgers compared to everybody else. I'm telling you right now, Mariota's greatest days are ahead of him for sure. All right, Serena Williams. Look, here's my thing. If you want to get into an argument with a coach, if you want to get into it with a side judge or whatever those guys are called in tennis, just own it. Just own it. John McEnroe, when he got into it with people, didn't say that his argument, or Jimmy Connors, was about being discriminated against because of his sex. When you are an athlete and you argue with an umpire, they treat everybody the same, okay? Everybody gets treated the same when they yell at umpires. Take and respect and own your personal responsibility for getting into an argument. I get into an argument all the time, right, in sports. I now am a coach, and I'm like, I'm not going to argue this because I don't want the 6- and 7-year-olds to get upset, but I'm furious about that call that just happened against me in Little League. If I got into an argument with the official or with the umpire or with the person who is in charge of managing the game, it's not okay for me to then say, oh, the reason why this happened is because of sexism. No, you got treated almost the exact same. And I got to tell you, I don't even see men argue like they did back in the John McEnroe and Jimmy Connors era. There's a lot of you people out there right now that haven't ever even seen those guys get into major arguments. Those would be huge Donnybrooks in a modern social media era. There are so many crazy things that used to happen in sports. Hell, I remember when Carlos Groves and Shaquille O'Neal got into a big brawl during a Tennessee LSU game and they kicked out almost everybody on the court. That thing would be massive in a social media age. It happened in like 1988. Nobody even remembers it. Things are a lot less severe now than they were in the 80s, the 90s, the 70s for sure, okay? Just don't make an argument based on everything else associated with it. It's such an easy argument to make. Ask the question, what would have happened if it had been any major male player? If Roger Federer was screaming about how he doesn't cheat because he has children and he has twins, it would be a massive story, okay? If Rafael Nadal got into a screaming match with an official and he was saying that he didn't cheat because he has kids, I don't even know if Nadal is married, and all of that was happening, it would be a massive story. It's like when LeBron said, hey, if I tell somebody to get out of my face, it's a big story because I'm a black guy, but if Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers did it, nobody would care. I'm like, are you kidding? Tom Brady kissed his son on that Tom versus Time story, and it was the #1 story in the sports media. If Tom Brady, the reality is this, athletes all get treated the same now, okay? Your race and your gender does not impact the way that you get treated. This is why sometimes people get mad at me, because I treat everybody the exact same. Might treat them like assholes, but I treat everybody the exact same regardless of their race, their gender, their sexual orientation, their religion, whatever it is. I don't care. I treat you the exact same, all right? Across the board. You go, in fact, you go ask like the former AD at Tennessee, go ask Greg Schiano, I'm probably tougher on old white dudes than I am anybody else. So that is the truth. I am here to tell you what I do on a day-to-day basis. Go to sportsbookreview.com. Make sure you get hooked up, get the best possible rate on your gambling needs. And also, make sure you go to thehomeloanexpert.com and get hooked up there with the best mortgage. Wipe out all your credit card debt all in one fell swoop. Got to tell you this. Make sure that you set your DVRs right now. We will be live in a little less than an hour on FS1. Go to your cable, your satellite subscribers, and set it. Lock it in. I'll be on with Rachel Vanetta, Todd Furman, and Cousin Sal. I think it's going to be pretty good. SEC Power Rankings. Yes, I said I would give you the SEC Power Rankings. Hold on a sec. Let me give you the SEC Power Rankings as we roll out here. By the way, fun announcement for people who have hung on this long. we're going to do the opening event for my new book, Republicans Buy Sneakers Too, at the Tennessee-Florida game. I believe I'll be speaking on the University of Tennessee's campus. If you are a student or if you're going to be in town for that game, then you will hopefully be able to be entertained. You can come get an autographed copy of the book. You can hang out right then and there. SEC Power Rankings 1 to 14 in order here before I roll off and get ready for the new show. Alabama 1, Georgia 2, Ohio, oh, no, that's my top 10. Sorry, similar. Alabama, Georgia, Auburn, LSU, Kentucky, Mississippi State, Texas A&M is at 7. Ole Miss 8, Vanderbilt 9, Missouri 10, South Carolina 11, Tennessee 12, Florida 13, Arkansas 14. That is my SEC Power Rankings. Set your VCRs, go get your antennas tuned, do whatever you got to get ready for Lock It In, and then let me know what you think of it on Twitter. I'm at Clay Travis. Appreciate all of you. Same bat time, same bat channel. We will be back. My name is Clay Travis. This has been Outkick the Show. DBAP, boys and girls, as I'm wearing my DBAP Across America shirt. But it's always important, SBAP also makes sense some of the times. Love you guys. Kisses. My name is Clay Travis. This has been Outkick the Show. I got to go do TV. See y'all later.